Laughable.
Laughable.
The promises are so far from reality that they are laughable.
Laughing gas.
Laughing gas.
Laughingly.
Laughingly.
The news network was laughingly referred to as the Disaster Channel.
Laughingstock.
Laughingstock.
The program has made the U.S. a laughingstock.
Laugh lines.
Laugh lines.
Laughter.
Laughter.
Foster joined in the laughter.
He looked shocked, then burst into laughter.
Audiences roared with laughter.
He shook with laughter.
The comment brought peals of laughter from her classmates.
Laughter lines.
Laughter lines.
Laugh track.
Laugh track.
Launch.
Launch.
The organisation has launched a campaign to raise $150,000.
The Canadian police plan to launch an investigation into the deal.
The press launched a vicious attack on the president.
The book launched his career as a novelist. The company hopes to launch the new drug by next October.
A test satellite was launched from Cape Canaveral.
Double-click on an icon to launch an application.
Nelson launched into a blistering criticism of greedy lawyers. Nelson launched into a blistering criticism of greedy lawyers.
Don't just launch into exercise without warming up first.
The launch of a new women's magazine.
A new product launch.
Launcher.
Launcher.
A rocket launcher.
Launchpad.
Launchpad.
Ellington's band was a launching pad for many gifted jazz musicians. Ellington's band was a launching pad for many gifted jazz musicians.
Launchpad.
Launchpad.
Their website is a good launchpad to other sites.
Launder.
Launder.
He was jailed for laundering drug money.
Laundrette.
Launderette.
Laundry.
Laundry.
She did the laundry and hung it out to dry.
Ben was folding laundry.
A pile of dirty laundry.
Laundry basket.
Laundry basket.
Laundry list.
Laundry list.
A laundry list of criticisms.
Laureate.
Laureate.
Nigeria's Nobel laureate, Wole Soyinka.
Laurel.
Laurel.
Academic laurels.
Lav.
Lav.
Lava.
Lava.
Lava lamp.
Lava lamp.
Lavatorial.
Lavatorial.
Lavatory.
Lavatory.
Lavender.
Lavender.
Lavish.
Lavish.
A royal palace on a lavish scale.
A lavish lifestyle.
The food was lavish. We were always lavish with financial aid in times of crisis.
He was always lavish in his praise of my efforts.
Their lavishly illustrated catalogue.
He lavished attention on her.
Hug your children and lavish them with love.
Law.
Law.
Elected officials ought to obey the law.
By law, seat belts must be worn by all passengers.
This is illegal under English law. Laws passed by Parliament.
5 people arrested under anti-terrorism laws were released without charge.
European laws on equal opportunities.
The laws against drug use were very strict.
We are concerned about the breakdown of law and order in the country. We are concerned about the breakdown of law and order in the country. I think she may be in trouble with the law.
The law of supply and demand.
The laws of nature.
The law of gravity.
She's studying law in London.
The laws of football.
The law of averages says we'll win at least once. Boys his age are a law unto themselves.
Vigilantes who take the law into their own hands.
The right of consumers to go to law if they need to.
Many ministers seem to regard themselves as being above the law.
There ought to be a law against cutting off power supplies in the middle of February.
Law-abiding.
Law-abiding.
A law-abiding citizen.
Lawbreaker.
Lawbreaker.
Law court.
Law court.
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement agencies.
Law enforcement agent.
Law enforcement agent.
Law firm.
Law firm.
Lawful.
Lawful.
It is not lawful to kill or injure a pet animal.
A lawful arrest.
His lawful wife.
Lawless.
Lawless.
This increasingly lawless society.
These border areas are among the most lawless regions in the world.
Lawmaker.
Lawmaker.
Lawman.
Lawman.
Lawn.
Lawn.
I spent all morning mowing the lawn.
A carefully tended lawn.
Lawn bowling.
Lawn bowling.
Lawn chair.
Lawn chair.
Lawnmower.
Lawnmower.
Lawn party.
Lawn party.
Lawn tennis.
Lawn tennis.
Law school.
Law school.
Lawsuit.
Lawsuit.
His lawyer filed a lawsuit against the city. Lawyer.
Lawyer.
LAX.
Lax.
The company has been lax in carrying out its duties.
Lax.
Lax.
The company has been lax in carrying out its duties.
Lacks security.
Laxative.
Laxative.
Lay.
Lay.
He laid his hand on my shoulder.
They laid a wreath at the place where so many people died.
Lay the material flat on the table.
The carpet was laid last week.
The project involved laying an oil pipeline across the desert.
The flies lay their eggs on decaying meat.
A cuckoo is able to lay in a range of different nests.
John was laying the table.
As she spoke, she was laying him a place at the table. Mandela helped lay the foundations for a new democratic South Africa. Mandela helped lay the foundations for a new democratic South Africa.
It was an invention which laid the foundations of modern radio technology. It was an invention which laid the foundations of modern radio technology.
Several proposals have been laid before the committee. A political philosophy that lays great stress on individual responsibility.
I swear I didn't lay a finger on him.
If you lay one hand on me, I'll scream. If you lay one hand on me, I'll scream.
Every aspect of their private life has been laid bare. Every aspect of their private life has been laid bare.
When the tide goes out, vast stretches of sand are laid bare. When the tide goes out, vast stretches of sand are laid bare. By doing that, he laid himself open to ridicule.
Not to have taken action would have laid the department open to charges of negligence. Not to have taken action would have laid the department open to charges of negligence.
The island was laid waste and abandoned.
The island was laid waste and abandoned.
An attack which laid waste to hundreds of villages. An attack which laid waste to hundreds of villages.
We are laying plans now in order to be successful in the future.
Bad weather can upset even the best laid travel plans.
The town can lay claim to having the oldest theatre in Britain. The town can lay claim to having the oldest theatre in Britain.
No one has laid claim to the property.
The armies laid siege to Vienna in 1529.
A group of young men were always at the stage door trying to lay siege to the girls.
All he wants to do is go out and get laid.
She laid £50 on the favourite, Golden Boy. I'd lay money that he will go on to play for England.
Lay it on the line and tell them what's really been happening.
I've laid myself on the line for him once already.
The continued divisions within the party cannot be laid entirely at his door.
Many illnesses are being laid at the door of stress.
She's been laid low with flu for a week.
She was laid to rest beside her husband.
He laid about his attackers with a stick. He laid about his attackers with a stick.
Richard had laid aside his book to watch what was happening. Richard had laid aside his book to watch what was happening.
On the day of the wedding, all arguments between the families were laid aside.
As a doctor, you often need to lay aside your personal feelings.
She'd laid aside a few pounds each week from her wages. He had already clearly laid down his view in his opening speech. The contract laid down that the work must be completed before 2025.
The terrorists were urged to lay down their arms. I could hear him laying down the law.
He was even prepared to lay down his life for his friends.
They are just about to start laying down tracks for their second album.
He likes to lay in a few special drinks for the festive season.
Outside the club, two men were laying into each other.
The company laid off 250 workers in December.
Millions of people have been laid off in the steel industry.
I think you'd better lay off alcohol for a while.
I had to lay off running for several months.
The company laid off 250 workers in December.
Millions of people have been laid off in the steel industry.
I think you'd better lay off alcohol for a while.
I had to lay off running for several months.
Just lay off, will you?
I wish he'd lay off me.
Murphy has the ball and then lays it off to Owen.
They laid on a buffet for his farewell party.
A bus has been laid on to take you home. Sorry to lay this on you, but we need someone to give a talk at the conference next week.
Lay out the map on the table and let's have a look. Lay out the map on the table and let's have a look. The garden is laid out in a formal pattern.
The financial considerations are laid out in a booklet called How to Borrow Money.
What's the point in laying out money on something you'll only wear once? What's the point in laying out money on something you'll only wear once? One of the guards had been laid out and the other was missing.
I was laid up for a week with flu.
Most of the yachts were laid up for the winter.
We started laying up firewood for the winter. Lay witnesses. A lay preacher.
Get the lay of the land before you make any decisions. Get the lay of the land before you make any decisions.
Mr. Lowe will give you the lay of the camp and tell you what we're going to be doing.
Layabout.
Layabout. Lay away.
Layaway.
I put the dress on layaway.
Lay-by. Lay-by.
Layer.
Layer.
A thick layer of dust lay on the furniture.
The moon was shining through a thin layer of cloud.
He pulled off layer upon layer of clothing.
Arrange the peppers, garlic and tomatoes in layers. Arrange the peppers, garlic and tomatoes in layers.
We are operating with fewer layers of management.
There are multiple layers of meaning in the story.
The multi-layered nature of organizations.
Layer the raw sliced vegetables in a shallow baking dish.
I have layered shoulder-length brown hair. I have layered shoulder-length brown hair.
Layette.
Layette.
Layman.
Layman.
To the layman, all these plants look pretty similar.
If you don't understand what the doctor says, ask to have it explained in layman's terms.
Layoff.
Layoff.
More layoffs in the car industry. Layout.
Layout.
The layout of the park. All the flats in the building had the same layout.
The layout of a business letter.
Page layout software. Layover.
Layover.
Layperson.
Layperson.
Lay reader.
Lay reader.
Layup.
Layup.
Laywoman.
Laywoman.
Lazarus.
Lazarus.
From 3-0 down at half-time, Manchester United made the biggest comeback since Lazarus, eventually winning 5-3. From 3-0 down at half-time, Manchester United made the biggest comeback since Lazarus, eventually winning 5-3.
Laze.
Laze.
We spent the afternoon lazing in the sun. We lazed around, gazing at the views.
Lazy.
Lazy.
The laziest boy in the class.
You felt too lazy to get out of bed.
We spent lazy days relaxing on the beach.
Lazybones.
Lazybones.
Come on, lazybones, get out of bed.
Pound.
Pound.
LBW.
LBW.
LCD.
LCD.
Leach.
Leach.
The manufacturers say that there is no danger of the aluminium leaching into the water. The manufacturers say that there is no danger of the aluminium leaching into the water.
Lead.
Lead.
A nurse took her arm and led her to a chair.
The horses were led to safety.
She was led away from the courtroom in tears.
The manager led the way through the office. A fire truck was leading the parade.
He has led the party for over 20 years.
Some people say she is too old to lead the country.
Beckham led his team to victory. Beckham led his team to victory.
The investigation will be led by Inspector Scarf.
They are leading a campaign to warn teenagers about the dangers of drug abuse. They are leading a campaign to warn teenagers about the dangers of drug abuse.
The rebellion was led by the king's brother.
Nelson preferred to lead the attack himself from the front.
A man who was born to lead.
A communist-led strike.
The events that led to the start of the First World War.
A degree in English could lead to a career in journalism.
Her trusting nature often led her into trouble. What led him to kill his wife? His actions could lead to him losing his job.
He had led everyone to believe that his family was very wealthy. The hotel was terrible, and not at all what we had been led to expect. Our research led us to the conclusion that the present system is unfair. The hotel was terrible, and not at all what we had been led to expect. Our research led us to the conclusion that the present system is unfair.
His brother led him into a life of crime. He's not a bad boy, he's just easily led.
U.S. companies lead the world in biotechnology.
The Swedes have led the way in data protection. At half-time, Brazil led 1-0. With 15 laps to go, Schumacher led the race.
The polls showed Obama leading Romney by 3%. The polls showed Obama leading Romney by 3%.
Nadal was leading by 2 sets.
The path led down to a small lake.
The major artery leading from the heart. The major artery leading from the heart. The door leading into the hallway.
The riverside path leads visitors to a small chapel.
If the operation succeeds, Carly will be able to lead a normal life.
He has led a charmed life.
She now leads the life of a recluse.
Joe had been leading a double life, seeing an ex-model while his wife believed he was on business. They lead a nomadic existence.
I tried to lead the conversation back to the subject of money.
So far, police investigations seem to have led nowhere.
The best managers lead by example.
Politicians think they can easily lead people by the nose.
That leads me to my final point. Where are we going to get the money? An export-led economic recovery.
Marble columns that lead the eye upward.
I'd like to lead off by thanking Rick for coming. The French team led off with 2 quick goals in the first 5 minutes. The French team led off with 2 quick goals in the first 5 minutes.
Hal led the evening off with some folk songs. Hal led the evening off with some folk songs. Hal led the evening off with some folk songs.
He pointed down a street leading off from the square. A large room with doors leading off it in all directions.
He thought she loved him, but in fact she was just leading him on. Alan Turing's work led on to the development of modern computers. Alan Turing's work led on to the development of modern computers. The Washington Post leads with the latest news from Israel. The Washington Post leads with the latest news from Israel.
Adam led with his left and punched his opponent on the jaw. Adam led with his left and punched his opponent on the jaw.
The weeks that led up to her death.
The events leading up to his dismissal. She had already guessed what he was leading up to.
She was in the lead from start to finish.
The Canadians went into the lead after only 30 seconds. The goal put Holland into the lead. The Bears took the lead for the first time this season. The Chicago Bulls had a narrow lead. The Socialists now have a commanding lead over their opponents.
Other countries are likely to follow the U.S.'s lead. The government should give industry a lead in tackling racism.
The black population in the 1960s looked to Ali for a lead. The US took the lead in declaring war on terrorism.
The police have checked out dozens of leads, but have yet to find the killer. The police have checked out dozens of leads, but have yet to find the killer.
He will play the lead role in Hamlet. Powers was cast in the lead role.
They were having trouble casting the female lead.
The film's romantic lead. The lead singer of Nirvana. All dogs must be kept on a lead.
They filled him full of lead.
Leaded.
Leaded.
Leaded lights.
Leaded lights.
Leaden.
Leaden.
She stumbled forward, her legs leaden.
A leaden joke.
Leader.
Leader.
The leader of the local black community.
The largest ever gathering of world leaders.
His air of confidence makes him a natural leader.
County Championship Leaders of Hampshire.
A world leader in defense and space electronics. These products are firmly established as the market leaders.
The Times leader column.
Leadership.
Leadership.
The leadership of the Labour Party.
Our prospects of winning an election will be better under his leadership.
The US must now take a firm leadership role.
The Conservative leadership contest.
The next leadership election is due in November.
She has great faith in her own leadership qualities. Someone with vision and leadership.
The country's military leadership.
The party leadership is in agreement.
Leadership in science is important to our nation.
Lead-free.
Lead-free.
Lead-in.
Lead-in.
Leading. Leading.
The army played a leading role in organizing the attempted coup.
The leading industrial nations. A leading heart specialist.
Leading members of the government.
This is the leading edge of medical technology.
The two women were leading lights of the Women's Union.
Don't ask leading questions.
Leading article.
Leading article.
Leading edge.
Leading edge.
Leading edge technologies for military and computer applications.
Lead off.
Lead off.
Lead story.
Lead story.
Lead time.
Lead time.
Lead up.
Lead up.
The lead up to the election.
Leaf.
Leaf.
A flowering bush with large shiny leaves. Add a few leaves of fresh basil to the salad.
The forest was just coming into leaf.
They are committing $3 million to research. We could take a leaf out of their book.
I see fatherhood as a chance to turn over a new leaf.
He slipped the letter between the leaves of his notebook.
She picked up the magazine and leafed through it.
Leafless.
Leafless.
Leaflet.
Leaflet.
A leaflet on skin cancer.
Students were handing out election leaflets at the station.
He's leafleting the neighborhood.
Leaf mold.
Leaf mold.
Leafy.
Leafy.
Leafy green vegetables such as spinach.
A leafy suburb.
League.
League.
He makes his Football League debut tomorrow.
The Rugby League Championship.
The National Socialist League. They're not in the same league as the French at making wine. They're not in the same league as the French at making wine. For most of the match, Brazil were in a different league and won 4-0. For most of the match, Brazil were in a different league and won 4-0.
Vernon was accused by his enemies of being in league with the devil. Vernon was accused by his enemies of being in league with the devil.
League table.
League table.
The government school league tables are published today.
Leak.
Leak.
The roof is leaking. A tanker is leaking oil off the coast of Scotland.
Seawater was leaking into the batteries which powered the electric motors.
The report's findings had been leaked.
Civil servants who leak information to the press.
No sooner had the news leaked out than my telephone started ringing.
There is a leak in the ceiling.
The boat had sprung a leak.
A gas leak caused the explosion.
It became evident from the leaks that something important was going on. It became evident from the leaks that something important was going on. It became evident from the leaks that something important was going on.
Leakage.
Leakage.
Leakages of confidential information.
Leaky.
Leaky.
The house had a leaky roof.
Lean.
Lean.
They were leaning forward, facing each other. Lean back and enjoy the ride.
She leant towards him and listened. She leant towards him and listened. He was leaning on the bridge, watching the boats go by.
A huge mirror was leaning against the wall.
He leant his bicycle against the fence.
Trees leaning in the wind. The couple lean on each other for support. He won't pay unless you lean on him. Canada, the UK and Japan leant towards the US view.
He was lean, tall and muscular.
His wife was a source of constant support during the lean years. His wife was a source of constant support during the lean years.